2019 Aston Martin DB11 car review. No matter whether it's a well-used Miata or perhaps a megabuck exotic, driving a convertible is centered on being seen. To drop the superior is to expose yourself to the entire world, and also you certainly will like doing so in Aston Martin's sumptuous new DB11 Volante. The good points of 2019 Aston Martin DB11. Stunning looks, fabulous balance, characterful V8. The bad points of 2019 Aston Martin DB11. Can't obtain a V12, some interior quirks. The DB11 in of its forms is really a car anyone would like to be observed in. Classically proportioned yet entirely modern, it moves Aston Martin forward without having to brake too abruptly, featuring its past. In creating the drop-top Volante version, designers ensured not to mess an excessive amount with the coupe's gorgeous silhouette. Despite an affordable bit of reshaping with the rear haunches to match the mechanism for that folding softtop, they've largely succeeded. The Volante maintains the long, low, athletic stance on the coupe, and, when raised, the 8-layer fabric roof itself suffers none of the one Aston designer calls the soggy umbrella look. Raindrop, drop top. Of course, you'd be crazy not to ever lower the most notable and enjoy the full Volante experience. Doing so takes 14 seconds and 16 seconds to lift it, which enable it to be done at accelerates to 31 miles per hour. It's with this state the DB11 most purely expresses its ethos like a grand tour for warm weather locales. While many of today's automakers have misconstrued the GT name as getting some sort of hardcore high-performance suffix, Aston allows its DB11 becoming a true GT car in ye olde tradition, having a compliant ride, a cozy interior, as well as an effortlessly robust although not brutal quantity of power. The last comes thanks to a version of your twin-turbocharged 4.0-liter V8 sourced from Mercedes-AMG. Here producing 503 horsepower and 498 lb-ft of torque. These pleasing qualities are common present within the hardtop DB11, too, although it's challenging to assess the differences between it and also the Volante without back-to-back drives. Aston's efforts to bolster the roofless model's structural rigidity have paid off. We noticed nary a quiver, shake, or unseemly vibration during our time while using car, although we had been driving on mostly pristine roads inside the south of France. About 98 pounds from the Volante's claimed 254-pound extra weight over the V8 coupe are caused by structural enhancements, and although the extra weight wasn't specifically apparent, any DB11 can appear a bit large on narrow European roads. Nevertheless, we had arrived impressed with all the supple and pleasant ride quality, which displays no trace of harshness, even using the adaptive dampers into their stiffest setting. Pick and choose. Aston Martin organizes the DB11 chassis mode separately through the powertrain settings, although both calibrations share 3 levels, GT, Sport, and Sport Plus. We appreciated the considerable personality shifts supplied by these configurations. Set everything to GT mode, therefore you get a relaxed cruiser that combines the aforementioned supple ride with somewhat languid throttle response, lazy downshifts from your 8-speed automatic transmission, as well as a pleasant, subdued exhaust note. Sport and Sport Plus chassis modes are hardly transformative, but they also add increased heft towards the accurate steering and a little less compliance through the dampers. It's the Sport and Sport Plus powertrain modes that in some way bring the auto to life. In these settings, the glorious twin-turbo V8 wakes up, with additional immediate reaction to throttle inputs, snappier shifts on a gearbox, as well as a truly thrilling soundtrack loaded with characterful pops and crackles. The Volante is advisable enjoyed with the very best down, the suspension left inside relaxed GT mode, the powertrain rolling around in its most aggressive Sport Plus mode, and also a heavy foot for the right pedal. After all, being heard is really a surefire approach to ensure being seen. With the highest lowered, onlookers should be able to check out the DB11's plush interior, and that is much improved over Aston's of yore. Partnering with Mercedes-Benz on its electronics is doing Aston wonders for modernizing the cabin, as being the command-based infotainment method is eminently usable along with the displays all appear crisp and clear. Even so, some fit and finish issues persist, where there are aspects of cheapness within. It seems worthwhile to shell out somewhat extra for some with the more extreme leather colors and exotic materials, as the auto we drove didn't quite delight having its black upholstery and somewhat drab piano black trim. Uncharacteristic restraint. We've gotten this far talk about the 600 horsepower, twin-turbo V12 that's a real focal piece in top-level DB11 coupes, and that's as the Volante does without that engine option. Ostensibly, the reasoning behind this decision has to do together with the weight savings with the smaller and lighter V8, though there are environmental considerations, too, for instance China's influential displacement tax and certain CO2 regulations in Europe. This might seem a weird omission from the car whose mission statement is essentially one of indulgence, but when we found in our first drive from the V8 coupe, as well as tests of varied Mercedes-AMG and Benz models powered with that burly V8, the Mercedes engine is special enough to supply a compelling alternative for the 12-cylinder with virtually no sacrifice in performance. The quantity of cylinders within the hood has little to do with using marvelous image that this DB11 Volante projects to others about the road, which is really what this car is centered on. Being seen inside the balanced and powerful DB11 Volante can be a treat, and same goes with driving it.